Welcome back, folks. Dow Industrials up 14, Nasdaq up 46, S&P's up 8. Let's go over to our man, Mr. Teddy Kekstadt at Forex Trading Unlocked, as we do each and every Wednesday at 40 past the hour. You can check Teddy out by coming over to our website at TFNN, folks, and you can go right under Nadex News. You're going to see he's out there writing for Nadex quite a bit. What's going on, brother?
Hey, it's a busy Wednesday morning in the trading world, huh? We got the British pound exploding higher, and you got the yen that looks like it wants to do the same.
Yeah, it's intriguing. Overnight, yesterday, Teddy, we were talking about the deadline, and it looks like, well, it doesn't look like, well, they extended the deadline today for the Brexit.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Of course they did.
Exactly,
Surprise.
exactly. Yeah, so you know what's amazing is that, I mean, that British pound, man. We were talking about it yesterday. It's like that little baby. It's been
Since April, right?
well, yeah. I mean, from 145 to this 128 deal. I mean, I think it was getting hammered anyway. So it's going to get intriguing watching this whole thing shake out. So what are you thinking, Teddy?
I think in the short run, to follow the week out, I think you got to be long. I think the bounce is real.
Yeah.
I think it's not just a one-day event or what's going on over the past 2 days, really. I think it's going to follow through into the weekend, especially since we're coming into holiday markets in the U.S.
Yeah, and you know what's so cool, folks, is that when you're trading, like, this is a monster range, and then you have news on top of it. Hey, listen, we're extending it, and we all know well enough. Well, we seem that if they didn't extend it, it would be a horror show, right? I mean, it'd be like, okay, is the pound, going to get destroyed? And it's like, okay. So now they're all going to come to their senses and say, okay, we got to make sure there's some kind of a deal before we all break up, right?
You want to talk about trade worries, right? You leave the whole EU with no trade deals attacked at all, and
right.
that's a tough one on your currency. I don't envision that might happen, but it's possible, and that's what you're seeing in that market. Definitely.
Yeah, wow.
Right.
So the yen, talk to me about the yen. What are you thinking at the yen?
The yen, I like the strength right now. Short term, I think you got to take the U.S. dollar yen to the upside. So we had that 111 pivot area we talked around for the past month and a half or so.
Yeah.
And now it's holding nicely. I think that going into the closing of the week and into next week, that the yen, this is not a corrective move. I think it's definitely a trend that we'll see that's going to be holding for a little while.
That's going to be wild. So let me just go over. I want to look at the Nikkei just for a second. Yeah, look at the Nikkei's at the highs too. So, that correlation between that yen and the Nikkei, man. I mean, that's pretty intense. If that in Japan, folks, if that yen gets stronger, Teddy's not thinking that it's going to get weaker. When it gets stronger, man, that Nikkei gets smoked.
And vice versa, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Right. Reverse correlation.
So, euro, what do you think with the euro out here? It's kind of interesting. The dollar and the euro are kind of fighting it out, huh?
They are, and I think you have to go with the U.S. dollar strength. Like, I think this is a corrective move higher with the euro that's been going on for the past week and a half. And I think today pretty much is the day it runs out of gas. So it's in a toppy little area.
Yeah.
So I think like the 117 even to 117 quarter, that's a really major pivot, which I think it's going to be more resistance than support. So I think by Friday and definitely into next week, you're going to see the euro under pressure and down probably back in the 116 area, lower 116, 115 area.
Right. And as Teddy said, folks, it pressed the 117 this morning. This is where there's a big supply line there. There's no doubt from the last 3 months ago. That supply line is pretty intense.
You can see it right there, too.
And of course, when our markets are closed on Monday. Which is going to make a big difference because it's like, okay, it seems, Teddy, that these currencies have been moving quite a bit. I mean, because the dollar had an extraordinary run, has had an extraordinary run, which killed these emerging market currencies. A real question is going to be when more traders come back on Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Which way are they going to basically push these currencies around?
Yeah, that'll be an interesting show, especially with the 3-day layoff. Europe won't be on holiday. So, I think that the currency is the way that, we didn't get a sleepy trade summer this year. We had trending markets. They were very active.
Yeah.
And I think going into the end of the third quarter, you're going to see September have a lot more volatility. And I think the dollar move right now is especially with the way NAFTA's rolling, and Canada is going to be pretty neutral, I think, until this gets hashed out. I think that you got to go with the dollar strength. It's going to continue into the end of the third quarter until at least NAFTA is complete, And then there's the whole Brexit issue. It's a whole other, who knows how that's going to go.
Yeah, and I guess then looking at that's going to be intriguing watching these commodities then, because the strength in the dollar, no doubt, keeps these commodities in check,
Oh, it's a headwind, right?
Yeah, headwind, yeah. Big headwind, yeah. Big headwind. And we've certainly, we got the oil numbers out this morning. We get some nice volatility inside that oil market. First, it popped higher, and then it just basically gave it up in spades.
It did. We'll check back, but it did.
Sure. I think oil is going to be a tough trade for the next month or so. I think it's going to be a little range bound in this $171 to $68 range.
Yeah, it seems, when you take a look at it, whether it was May or July, you got a couple big sellers laying there, man. May and July, that we came down $3 both times in one day. It's like, okay, hours, yeah. That's not you and I selling into that market, man. That is either a large producer, saying, hey, I'm happy with $70 oil. Let's sell it forward, right?
The size of the oil market to move at $3 in one session is amazing.
Well, picture if we all had oil in our backyard, man. Like saying, okay, we were at $66, 4 weeks ago. It's like, okay, I'll take 70. Let me sell some oil forward.
70's not a bad price, right? In terms of where we've been in the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
Nice big bathtub of oil.
Bring it on, man. You don't have your bathtub oil?
Forget it. If we go back to the pound a bit, where do you think the pound can go out of here, Teddy?
I like him going up to 131.20. I think that's probably a good stopping point for this move. I do believe it's going to definitely try and make a run towards that area. I'm pretty bullish on the pound right now for the next week or so. And the pound when it goes, it goes.
I was just gonna say that's a short-term one, as in not getting too much into the actual separation of the Brexit, because that's
right.
I'm almost stuttering to say I can't wait to see how that actually somehow finishes up in terms of those negotiations.
Well, what's so cool about that, and this is the trade that you're talking about, Teddy. I love that trade, because what happens, folks, is this: it's very unusual to have the pound this low anyway, And when I look back in the course of 30 or 40 years, the pound always seems expensive to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you're at 129. Really?
It's a brave new world, man. They're not even going to be in the EU. That changes everything dramatically.
I know, but even before the EU got together, I remember I did a lot of business in London, so it was always expensive, man. The pound was always like 148, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it'd drive me crazy going over there that you had to spend so much money. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my God,
It'll be on sale soon, right now.
Oh, it's on. Listen, folks. Bottom line is that you should be buying some pounds if you're going to go to London.
Oh, that's for sure.
No doubt.
That's a good play, without a doubt.
Isn't it? Teddy, it's always a pleasure, man. We look forward to, first off, have a great weekend. We look forward to speaking to you next Wednesday.
You too. Enjoy the holiday. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Teddy.
Stay right there, folks. Tommy and I are coming right back.